Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
And can you see the screen that I'm sharing? I'm trying to share the notes for the.
Yes.
You see the notes?
Yes.
Okay. Hello. Then I'm sharing the right screen. Yeah, it's hard to do Susan's great job to drive this meeting, so I'll try to do my best here. Let's give maybe 2 or 3 more minutes for folks to join. Susan's gonna be out for a couple weeks. She's on leave. Toddy's on KubeCon, and Sajay is also out this week. Let's see if other folks join. So let's give them maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. Hello, Yi. Oh, did we lose Feynman?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we're giving folks maybe a minute or so to join. We'll get started promptly. Yeah, Susan's gonna be out for a couple weeks. She's on leave, so I'll be hosting these meetings on her absence. So try to bear with me a little bit while I get used to the mechanics of hosting on Zoom.
Thanks, Luis.
Yeah, we have a couple of folks absent potentially for KubeCon. You know, Toddy's there. Sajay's out this week. So, okay. I see Feynman starting to join again. Yeah, I think Feynman might be having some trouble. Okay, so I guess we can get started. Hopefully, I'll be monitoring to see if Feynman can join. I think, well, as you are already aware, we've moved. The first announcement is we've moved the Tuesdays community meetings to Wednesdays, and we moved it half an hour later to accommodate a little bit better time zones in Asia. So we're still going to have the the other one be an earlier time so that people in North America, it's North America friendly. So we'll be iterating one-on-one still, but we're moving this one a little bit later in the day and moving it to a different day in Wednesdays based on poll results. Seems like this time worked better for people. So that's that. Let's see. So for today, we have a couple PRs. I also want to make sure we discuss. We kind of have the finalized list of things we want to cover for RC4. I created the RC4 milestone and put a date for to release on a month from last week, which is probably basically at this point. We're targeting, let's see, it's May 12th. So we're targeting RC4 on May 12th, kind of continuing the regular monthly cadence. So that's kind of what we're shooting for this next milestone. And we'll talk about the RC4 candidates as we move. We also we can cover the config policy provider refactor that Binbin's working on proposal for. And then if time permits, we can discuss the Ratify logo and websites. Kind of if we have seen any progress, we want to move. I know there's a proposal for a website, and I believe Yi and Feynman have had some conversations with Min to help us with the logo, but we can discuss that later. So let's go through the pull requests. So we have dependency metrics, Akash.
Yep. So so this PR is the last PR in the work to light up some metrics for Ratify. So this is targets two specific cases, or actually three. The first is the actual registry requests that you get out. So it returns the status code as well as a few other properties. And then we also have a metric to give more information on the cache hit and miss rate for the OCI blob store. The second half of the work would be to also emit metrics for the in-memory caches, but I spoke to Binbin and we both kind of agreed that it wouldn't make sense for us to emit 4 different metrics for 4 different in-memory caches. We should probably first focus our efforts on unifying that scenario, and then we can follow up with any extra metrics you want to support after that. And then the last part are the Azure specific metrics. So the AAD exchange duration, the ACR exchange duration, and the certificate fetch duration. And each of those have some extra properties like the AAD scope of the token, the ACR, the host name that you're trying to exchange for, as well as the certificate name and some object properties there too. This is below that are 2 sample photos. It looks very familiar to the previous dashboard. It just adds a few extra graphs, and then there's a drop-down menu with some of the Azure specific stuff. So that's in a separate pane completely. So the OSS specific stuff is separate, and the Azure stuff is separate too. Yeah, and I think thank you, Binbin, for the couple rounds of review. I'm pretty sure we're almost there. There's just one more comment I need to resolve, and then it should be good to merge.
Okay, yeah, I do agree that it kind of makes sense to converge first on the caching, all the different caches, and then focus on the metrics. So good. By the way, did we log an issue for converging of the cache?
Yeah, so actually today I kind of created an epic task for high availability of Ratify and added about 3 or 4 work items or issues that are linked to that. So one of those is unifying the caches.
Okay, makes sense. Good. Okay, so next, one, any questions about the metrics from anyone or comment? Nope. Okay. The next one, Akash, the add multi-signature report.
Yeah, so this was a this was surfaced after some recent work with updating the cosign reports to basically honor multiple signatures that could be in a single OCI image artifact. So this adds a custom extension field for cosign specifically so that you can actually break down the results by the individual signature blobs that are stored in a single image. So if you see in the sample verifier report, the new part is the signatures array, which contains an entry per signature that it's encountered in the OCI image manifest. And then in each entry, there are a few fields such as like the signature, blob digest, which should be which corresponds to the actual content of the signature. In this case, because the same item has been signed twice, it's showing up as using the same key. It's showing up as the same signature content, but the digest would be separate if you had multiple keys in that scenario. Also added a field called bundle verified, and this corresponds to cosign's bundle verification, where you can actually set up a recore client to do to guarantee attestations exist in the upstream published, I guess, ledger, you can call it. So this lights up that scenario too. So now you can verify a bundle's integrity there too. And the overall success is still the same. We're using the same logic as before. It's just we're providing a new field called bundle verified, which returns true or false and leaves it up to the user if they want to add more complex rego to determine if the bundle has been verified or not. But the core scenario that we had before remains unchanged, and this is just a pure additive change. So, yep.
I see. They're really cool. So okay, I see. So it's basically the validation. It's basically dependent on the policy validator, right? Like we just basically you just emit sort of like the total. So if it fails, you would get two different blocks here. One for like one true, and you can get one is success true and one is success false, right? If one of the signatures fails.
That's correct, yes. So this
I
just
see.
provides the information at the per signature level, and then gives the option to the user to write more complex policy rego to determine how they want to handle that. So just bubbling up the information. This wasn't exposed to the user before. So.
I see, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I see. So this needs review, right? Oh, been already approved. Okay.
Yep. So.
Good. Okay. So these are the, let's see, believe we only have, oh, this is just document. What is this PR, Akash?
Yeah, so if you go to the file changed and then you'll click the rich diff, which is in the top right next to the tags, to the left of that, right? The button right next to it. Yes, that one.
Oh, this one.
So this is just our caching document, and if you scroll down, we've created a diagram of the entire caching in Ratify following the verify handler. So
this is great.
Yeah. So this is going to lay the foundation for some of the caching unification work we need to do. So once we have an idea there, we can go through this whole chart and explain it. But this is just the first step in it.
This is good. This is basic, and it talks about the 4 different caches that we have, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So the 4 different in-memory caches, and then the one file store cache that we use.
RC3. Oh, this is very cool. Thanks for writing this, Akash.
And thank you, Binbin, for all the advice on how to improve it and make it clearer.
Right. Any questions on the open PRs?
I have one question related to the multiple signatures. I also created an issue addressed that to some other scenarios. I saw Akash provided some comments. I will check the comments and maybe contact Akash later.
Sounds good. Yep.
Thanks, Akash.
Okay. All right, so those are the open PRs. So moving to the presentation discussion agenda items. So let me pull the RC4 milestone. As mentioned before, tentatively created the milestone to have a release by May 12th. I cleaned up the previous milestone RC3 since we're completed on that, and any of the remaining ones we talked about that last week, and then kind of pulled anything that was left here. So kind of wanna just talk about what we currently have for RC4. If there's any of these that make sense, that we don't feel we're gonna tackle this month. So these were working. Is Joshua on the call? No, Joshua didn't make it on the call. So there's a couple of documentation items that I'll try to reach out to Joshua, see which ones he can actually help us with. This one you're already working on the docs. Well, this is part of what you just showed us right now, right?
Yes.
Akash. And then there's this other one, documentation doc should not pin ratified versions that is not latest. So this one has to do with the versioning work that Susan was working on. And then this is the one I believe Joshua, it's assigned to Joshua, the set up the cosine verifier. Okay. So so just going back to making sure that we have like the things that you're working. So for the let me go to the issues tab and see from the ones that we have over here, make sure that we have it on the right milestone. Unify the memory caches. This is something we're going to be at least starting to work on this release, correct? So I'll move this to RC4. That doesn't mean that it'll get complete, but at least we're able to track it. And then I don't think we're going to be able to tackle this one. The metrics is for future because we want to do the consolidation first. What is this dependency metrics, Akash?
Oh, this is the PR that I have opened that adds the Azure specifics.
I see. Okay, and this one's already in RC4. Add documentation for local Kubernetes setup. And this like that. Let's talk to Joshua. I'll reach out to him.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
I'm curious, what does the issue add documentation for local KBS setup? Do you want to write a guide to tell people how can we install a Kubernetes cluster? Oh, okay. I got the reply from Akash.
Yeah, this was I had opened it up after I think you and you and Yi had some issues with setting up some of the auth providers and different things inside like I think a Minikube cluster. So I wasn't
Sorry,
sure if we wanted to
sorry.
explore.
I think somebody's, Jason, as you typing, it's really loud. Can you mute yourself, please?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was already muted. My apologies.
No worries. It's just, it's loud. Go ahead, Akash.
Yeah, so this was just kind of solidifying or like creating a document form of the end-to-end test setup that we do already, which creates the Hind cluster, sets up auth providers correctly, applies some of the CRDs. So I was wondering if there was any use in that, if people thought that might be helpful, because we don't have like a full setup scenario for that. We have set up for the Azure scenario, of course, and then our quick start guide just kind of assumes that you just want to set up Ratify with the very basic notary cert scenario using a public registry. But yeah, that's what the motivation behind this item was. But Feynman, if you think that this is kind of out of scope of Ratify or may not be helpful, we could close it out for now.
No, I'm not mean this is not helpful. I just want to figure out what's our purpose for writing this guide. Yeah, since the description is not straightforward, and I cannot get the points what we wanted to do. Just double confirm.
Got it.
So it seems like we want to create a guide for how to set up a local Kubernetes cluster and a local registry, and how people can configure Ratify with Kubernetes secrets. Currently, I think the README does only include the image validation steps without any prerequisite steps. So we want to add those prerequisite steps into this guide and let people can start these end-to-end steps from scratch if they don't have even a Kubernetes cluster, or they don't have other tools like notation set up in their local environment. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what
Okay, I think this is doable, and I think you also did a video recording for this local environment setup. I think we can create a guide for this scenario, and I think I and Yi can help.
Do you want me to assign this one to you, Feynman, or Yi?
Yeah. You can assign it to
you, or
sure
Feynman?
Yeah. I commented, so I think you are able to assign it to me.
Yep. And then at least track it on this milestone. If it doesn't happen, we move it. But okay.
But just on this, do you think it's worth getting something like a dev container set up in the repo as well? Like if you're going to focus on local development, maybe might also be good. I'm not too sure if there's already one inside the repo, but potentially even just having a dev container set up with your environment provision and everything ready to go with, your local Kubernetes cluster set up and running for you. That might be a good step as well. It sort of like removes the burden of trying to get your local environment all set up and ready to go for even just for testing, not necessarily for development, just for trying things out. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Just want to see because I'm happy to do that, like create an issue and getting that going if people feel like that's something that's worth having inside the repo.
Yeah, no, I think that is very useful because just helping others on board to just start developing on Ratify. Some people are using cloud managed clusters, some people using Minikube, some people using Kind, and then trying to get all of those bits working with a local registry. We do have a dev container that we have in the repo, but I think it might be time to revisit on what dependencies that we install. I would say, yeah, we should probably just create an issue and then we can track that.
Sweet. Yeah, I wasn't aware that well, I mean, my memory's a little bit faded, so I guess I'm unmissed. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, yeah. Cool. I can create an issue around that and take it from there if everyone's okay with that.
Yes, please go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I think using Kind or K3D sounds like an interesting setup steps. And if Jason, you can create an issue and clarify what we want to do for this scenario, it would be better that we can understand.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. By the way, Jason, I think, have you joined these calls before?
I have not. This is my first time.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You know, I'm not the typical driver of this meeting, so might have my oversight. You just want to quickly say who you are and like which company or team you're on?
Yeah, so my name is Jason. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. I think Suganya has been on this call before. I don't know if she's on this call right now. But yeah, we've been playing around with Ratify for a little while now. And notation and cosine and that sort of thing, where we're sort of like working in this secure supply chain sort of space at the moment. Which is pretty exciting, a lot of moving parts and things, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess that's me. First time here. So yeah, nice meeting you all.
Well, welcome to the community. Suganya was here briefly. I think she left already, but yeah, definitely. We've been working with her. She did some contributions on the cosine scenario, so that's pretty cool to see. Yeah. Anyway, welcome, and yeah, definitely feel free to log in. We look at all the issues logged and we triage them, and we basically we monitor them. So definitely log an issue for that. Okay, so moving on. Anything from this list that we want to add into the RC4 that's missing that we know we're working currently on? I guess the multiple signatures is let's move this because I know that there's some work. I mean, yeah, let's move this to RC4 to track. Okay. Okay. Well, let's. I think we had enough on the RC4 milestone. So let's keep on that. Moving on to the next item in our agenda. We have the config policy provider refactor. So Bin, do you wanna chat about this?
Yes, but do I need to share my screen?
I can share. Let me bring that up. You want me to bring up the?
Oh, maybe I can send you the link.
No, I have it. I have it. So here we go. This one, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so yes, thanks everyone for reviewing my talk. I think it's already the second version. So in this version, we the general idea is that we want to offload the policy evaluation to the open engine instead of like evaluating by Ratify itself. Because we want to add more support for the more policies. So if we still keep it in the Ratify in the future, if we add a new policy, we need to like do some refactoring on our Ratify code. So it will be more complicated. So in this design, we want to move the policy stuff to the open engine. And so in this, in the design considerations, I listed some use cases. So we could have a lot of use cases, and some of them might be not like practical, but I just listed for reviews. And Luis, can you scroll down to the new architecture?
Yes.
Yeah, so I draw a very simple diagram. So basically, if we have a request, the executor will verify the all artifacts and gather all the results for each artifact. And if so we bring back the pass-through mode. It was removed a few months ago because there is no big difference between disabled or enabled. But now, since we will have the open engine, and so we can re-enable the passport mode now. And so if the passport mode pass-through mode enabled, that means the Ratify needed to, So if this mode is enabled, that means the Ratify should return the results and should return the verification results and the overall result. And so for the overall result, we need to, it's enabled, it's disabled. So the overall result will be evaluated by the embedded open engine or the open library, and then return the decision with the results. And if the pass-through mode is enabled, that means Ratify doesn't need to return the overall result. So it just returns the results for each artifact and let the gatekeeper to make the decision. And so basically, for the original policy, we want to convert it to the legal policy and just put it in as the constraint template, which is a CRD. And so both Ratify and gatekeeper can consume this legal policy. And so also we want to support the nested verification. So I'm thinking, because there is some possibility that users might attack our server with like a lot of signatures or artifacts attached to one image. So I'm thinking if we should, firstly, we should add a limit on the nested depth and also on the total number of the verification count. And also, I'm thinking if we want to add a new config that enforces the artifact graph. Luis, can you scroll down?
I see. So have that as a max, like maybe have a max number of verifications as a configuration.
Yes.
Got it. I see. Yeah, that makes sense. At least I think that while we understand more about the customer needs here, so that we have sort of a dial, we can actually like dial up or down depending on how we see feedback we're getting from customers.
Right. Yeah, and for this config map, this config example, since it's just to be determined yet, I'm not sure if we really need this JSON for describing the artifact tree or artifact graph. it's not for the policy evaluation. It's just for like running through, iterating through all the artifacts of each image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, if users, or maybe if we don't support this like artifact tree config, the Ratify will just go through like every artifact until it reaches the limit. Otherwise, if we provide this config, so the Ratify will just go through the specified. Oh, Akash just had a comment. Oh, it's not really. Okay. Yeah, so I think we can have more discussion on that, but I don't think it will block my implementation. So we can keep it for discussion offline.
Okay. The other thing that we're planning on supporting the old policy provider and the new one, at least until we
Yes.
basically like we have a plan for the commissioning, like deprecating
Yeah.
the. Okay.
Right. So my plan is to support both, at least
Right.
for the RC version.
Makes sense.
And for the detailed design, so firstly about the execution mode, so we bring back the pass-through mode, and then because Ratify can run as a CLI command. So for CLI command, we have to rely on the open engine to do the evaluation, because we can rely on the gatekeeper to make the decision for the command. And for the verification results, I refactored to this new format. So firstly, at the root level, we have an overall result. It will be used when the pass-through mode disabled. If it's enabled, then we can just ignore these overall results. And okay. So I also introduced a nested report, which would be an array of reports to the same subject. So in this example, for the first level, the subjects are the same, the test Azure Hello World v1. And so it lists just a different like artifacts of the different artifact types. And for each artifact, there will be an array of reports, which is the verify reports field. And so for each verify report, there will be like reports from different verifiers. So actually, Akash had a question on if we should add the verifier type to the verifier report. So my consideration is that it's possible that for each artifact, we could have like different verifiers of the different verifier types could verify against it. So that's why I want to introduce the verifier type. So example is that like for the spawn artifact, we could have different like verifiers, and they are also different verifier types. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a valid scenario. My question was that if you could have multiple verifiers attached to a single artifact type,
right,
like the cosine one that you have there, like keyless versus non-keyless, but wouldn't the verifier name be different between them? Wouldn't it be cosine versus cosine keyless? Why would we need the verifier type then?
Okay, yeah, so my thinking is that so in the future, maybe users want to enforce a policy. Like, for example, for some artifact, there might be like 5 verifiers, and 2 of them are maybe the cosine verifier, and 3 of them might be some other verifiers. And in this case, so users might want to enforce at least one verifier test for each verifier type. So in that case, we need the verifier type to do the comparison.
I see. Okay. I'm getting the scenario now. How does it look in terms of like where this would be defined? Is this just another field in the configuration for the verifier that they have to fill out? So it would be, currently we just have verifier name, but you'd also have to provide verifier type associated to that verifier?
Right, yes.
Okay.
And because we don't use it right for now, so maybe I'm just over reflected. So I'm thinking we can also add it to the extension field in the future if we really need it. But if it makes sense to add it to a separate field, so we can also do that right now. And also for the legal policy, I listed some examples. So like first example is that we just want to enforce all verified results succeeded. So this template is very similar to the one we are using for Ratify. And I just actually, Luis can scroll down a bit. So actually the only difference is that I introduced a life to the legal. So for the above code, it's very similar to, I think it's not similar, it's just the same as the one we are using for Ratify. And the only difference is that we will introduce a failed verify, or maybe we can rename it to other names. So it's a failed verify, and it actually verify against the reports I just listed above. And so for gatekeeper, it will need to run this policy, the whole policy, because it needs to check both the system errors and error count, and also the result from the Ratify. And for Ratify, it wants to verify the data, it only needs to use the failed verify method. And yeah, this is another example. And so we want to, for example, for a subject, we want to enforce that at least one artifact of each HTML type is success. And also we want to enforce at least one verifier per verifier type is success. So this is an example to do that. Oh, maybe I posted I copied the wrong one. It's two parts. I think we need to look at the second one. Yeah.
No, but it's definitely like obviously like opens and being a much more flexible verification.
Yeah, maybe we should add more examples in the future so that users can like use our Ratify policy very quickly instead of, because I'm not an OPA expert, so it took me a few days to write all of them. And yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, this makes all the sense in the world. Feynman, does this make sense for how we're moving forward with the policy verification?
For me, I think this is really good. I also did some offline chat with Bing, and I see this refactor is extendable for different scenario we could introduce in the future. I think it's really good. But there one thing that maybe I mean, if we disable this pass-through mode, there will be some more work on the record side, but that part could be a bit difficult for our users, right? we can think about it later how to help a user to generate that rules.
But I think Bing Bing had a good point here that at some point when we enable this, we can also provide templates for customers and like, I mean, it's a standardized language. So basically, yeah, this opens a lot of possibilities, but I definitely see like where we're putting more load on the customer to sort of create these rules, but yeah, we can always guide them with more documentation and templates.
Yeah, but generally, I think this is very good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have one concern on this workflow because previously we do the policy evaluation and the signature verification at the same time. So if some signature verification failed, we can just stop the verification. But now, because it was like split into 2 steps, and the first step is to gather all the verification results, and the second step is to do evaluation on those reports. So that means we need to do all the verification first, even though maybe there are like 100 signatures and only one is valid. So, but we still need to do the verification on 100 signatures.
Right.
So that might waste a lot of resources from Ratify, even though we already do all of them like in Go routines. So it might not take too much time, but it will still use a lot of resources. And if in the future we have a lot of requests coming, I don't know how the performance will be impacted.
I think that's a valid scenario. And when we had switched over to using Go routines, that was kind of the trade-off where we got rid of the short circuiting that you're talking about in favor of let's do all of the verification and then we can do the evaluation afterwards. In terms of the performance hit, I feel like maybe we can revisit it if others are comfortable with that and see if we need to do some optimization in that area. I'm hoping that with some of the efforts for higher availability and multiple replicas and all of that work, we can kind of ease some of that constraint. But
right. Yeah. So maybe once we implemented the first version of the new policy provider, we can do some load testing and see how the performance goes. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I think Bing, I'm not sure whether you already created the issues to address that maybe some future work as we discussed, for example, the signatures, the performance, and also the Rego template. Should we create issues to track that?
Yeah,
so that we can
create one.
Yeah, so that later we can, because I do think that we need to iterate it, right? We don't need to develop a very fancy solution, but it takes too long time. We can keep iterating it, but we can create issues to track what we are going to improve in the future. So currently we know there are some issues, then let's create those issues.
Sure, makes sense.
Okay. Min, anything else you want to cover on this?
If you scroll down, let me check if we have. Yeah, so one question from open question. First one is that for source limit, I'm thinking if we should have them fixed on the Ratify side or they can be adjustable by user. I feel on the Ratify side we we should have a hard limit on that, and probably users can set between 0 to the hard limit.
Right. It's an interesting question. I feel like customers are going to be experimenting at first.
Right.
So it might be okay to provide this. I do agree. We need to have like an internal like just DOS dial that we can max. But whether we surface anything like this for customers, feel it's. I feel like customers are always going to try to max as much as they can, right? Like if unless they see like perf issues, they're still gonna try to they're not gonna like minimize the number of verifications they need. Like I feel like I don't know, like what are your thoughts here? Do you think we should allow customers to have a diable config for Max?
For the max verification account, this means how many signatures, right? Yeah. Any other cases? I mean, not signature type. Any other type? We also facing this. It's mainly about signatures, right?
There's even say signature also for other artifacts like the spawn.
It's verifications. I think that the concern that Bin was valid, that somebody could potentially attack by creating an image with like millions, I don't know how many signatures, but you can attach to an image. But something like that, I think the way to see it is more in terms of verifications that the Ratify executable would do.
Yeah, actually, recently, the security audit on notation, they report some issues also related to this, some kind of a DOS attack. Yeah, I do think that maybe for the maximum verification counts, we can consider parameters, and we can use the default value for it. Maybe I'm not sure how we can do it. Maybe at the first phase, we don't expose this to the users. I mean, we can configure it, but later if we figure out that the user do need to configure this value, then we can expose it.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether we can do it. We can keep it internal first, then we can expose later if we really need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with that assessment. Like I feel like the customer is always gonna try to like max it, or like they would like to have it max. But we do need to have it kind of internally as a safeguard to prevent the a potential attack like the one you mentioned. But yeah, so let's have it internal for now, and then surface it externally based on feedback.
Okay. So actually, I just realized that the cosine signatures is a bit different, because for the cosine signature, each block is a different signature. So that means if the verification happened in the plugin verifier, not on the whole verifier level. So is it possible that a cosine signature had a lot of like blocks, which means it had a lot of cosine signatures, and do we need to do some restriction on that?
It's definitely possible, because you're only restricted to 4 megabytes for the manifest size. So you can imagine how many blob descriptors you could put technically in a single manifest. We could maybe like put the same sort of logic in cosine, but yeah, like then it becomes like, how do you actually configure that and make sure it matches up with the general artifact level verification signature limit? So
okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe we can start small. We can first apply this to for example, for the notary signature type, and for the cosign, we have that a manifest size limit, right? We can leave it for now, and later we can figure out whether we need extra configurations to control the number of blocks. But for now, I think the problem is mainly on the notary signature side, right?
Yeah. And also there is another question from Susan's comment before. So she had a concern on the max size of the response since the result is getting much larger. So, but I didn't find a size limit on Gatekeeper. So I guess it would be fine even though the results is too large.
Yeah, have we put this question out to the Gatekeeper team?
Not yet. Yeah, I can post one. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't know if they know this. It might be something just to validate at some point. How big can the payload be?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's all on my side.
Thank you, Binbin. Okay, so we had the one final item on the agenda today. We discussed the Ratify logo and website. Feynman, any status or any updates here?
Yeah, I can provide some quick updates related to Ratify logo and website. Regarding the Ratify logo, I asked our ACR designer, Ming, who will help us to design that logo, and she just came back from his PTO vacation yesterday. So I will have a meeting with her after this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just share your ideas or requirements regarding this logo. I saw Akash has shared his idea regarding this logo. So if you have any inputs, please tell us.
Great. Yeah, thanks for driving that conversation, Feynman.
Yeah, regarding the website, as I shared that we have a volunteer, Sherwani, who helped us to implement the initial version for the Ratify website last week. And here's the link for the initial implementation. The next step is that we need to migrate the content, the documentation from Ratify repository to the new website, and we will use the new website to update and maintain those documentation after we set up this new website, and we will introduce the version control based on the new website. And she is currently busy with his examination this week, and I think she will be able to help us complete the migration by the end of this week or maybe early next week. Yeah.
Great. By the way, the hosting of the website, is this who handles that?
I think we have a domain name, ratify.sh. I think we will use that domain to host the Ratify website. Currently, she uses her own Ratify application to host it for a temporary preview. But I think, do you know who is owning the domain name ratify.sh?
I don't have that. We should consult. Maybe Akash, do you know? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I think we should reach out to Sajay and ask.
Yeah,
I don't have that.
I think if everything is ready, I think we will use ratify.sh to host this website.
Okay.
And to create a separate repo under DaveLab org.
Makes sense.
I need to jump and meet with Ming to talk about the Ratify logo. So
Thank you, Feynman. Yeah, I think this is the end of the agenda. Thanks everyone for coming today.
thanks.
And talk to you.
Thanks, Luis. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, bye.